Hey, good morning, everybody. This is the Recovery Channel podcast. My name's Dr. Rob Kelly, the addiction doctor. And with me, as usual, my co-host, Jennifer Lovely. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing good, apart from our guest, guys. Unfortunately, Damon West is a no-show this morning. Not sure what happened to him, but if you're listening or watching Friends of Damon, give him a shove. We'll see if he comes on during the show. But today, it's the best show in the world because it's just me and Jen.
Yay. I love that. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, it is. So what I want to talk about today is I'm going to talk about changing the way you think to change the way you drink. And we're going to talk about boundaries. So changing the way you think is something that I'm absolutely amazing on. And boundaries, I know Jennifer teaches good boundaries. You know, even I've learned from it from the past. So that's what we're going to discuss today. What do you reckon, Jen?
I love that because the truth is that I haven't always been good with boundaries.
Yeah, I've been terrible. I'm terrible. You know, from my upbringing and from my time on the streets, which people usually get sick of hearing, but it's so true that I have two reactions. I have, okay, that's cool, let's carry on, or fuck you, I'm going to kill you. And there's no boundaries around anything that I have usually. I'm learning as we go along, but it was really hard for me to get boundaries because that meant I had to still be friends with the person that had just given a boundary. And some people comment, Rob, why are you so pissed off? I'm not pissed off. I'm not pissed off at you, bro. That's a boundary. You know, you can't step over that and you can't do this. And we're only speaking about my last assistant who broke all boundaries and I didn't see it. You know, I mean, the idea is when we get so busy and I'm doing everything like 9 hours a day, I can't be interrupted by anybody. So the first thing was nobody gets to speak to me unless you go through, let's call her Billy. No, it's called Alfie. And that was it. So, you know, she'd screen calls and that was great. I love that. But then she screen calls Janet when she calls. So Jay Bear calls and she says, oh, well, he's busy right now. You know, he's in with staff talking to him. And Jay's like, well, can I just speak to him real quick? No, unfortunately not. Get my husband on the phone now. So there's boundaries there that I didn't see people crossing. And then I tend to pay people more than they're worth. And I tended to hire people for positions they had no right in owning or no experience, but because they were alcoholic or addicts, I thought I was doing a good thing. And it all went shit, as you know. We talked about that years ago.
Well, a lot of people these days don't necessarily like to talk about codependency. They think that's kind of like they talk about prodependency and there's all sorts of different words. But one of the things that I'm really aware of is that when you're dealing with dysfunction of any kind, is that it's chronic self-neglect when we are overly focused on somebody else and not focused on ourselves. And that's one of the things that not only in the addiction world, although it seems more common in the addiction world to be focused on the addict or the alcoholic, but I would assert that most of the time we could actually look at our lives and really take a hard look at where are we mostly focused? Are we mostly focused outwardly or are we mostly focused on ourselves? When I began focusing on myself, my life completely changed. Completely changed.
In what way?
It just got better and it got more interesting because I'm interesting. And that was one thing that I figured out was that I'm an interesting person. And I just forgot because I was so focused on my kids or, you know, a husband or whatever else was going on. I let other people become, you know, my interests rather than myself. And so, you know, we talk about staying in your own lane. Like, who cares what the other swimmer is doing?
Yeah.
Just be focused on your breathing. And that's interesting enough. And so I think that is a huge thing in our, not only in the addiction world, but just in life. Like right now around the coronavirus, everybody is so concerned about who's wearing a mask and who's not wearing a mask. Now, while I hear you in terms of keeping people safe and all of that, but when we focus on ourselves, we can then begin to self-regulate and deal with what we need to deal with within ourselves rather than so focused on the other person.
It's so true. It's so true. And I think we have a saying that we use is everybody swim to their own life raft. You know, stop trying to get on with somebody else because it's not working. And people pleasing has never really been my forte, just because, well, you know, guys, I know there's a lot of people listening right now from the offset. I don't really like people, you know, I don't really mix with people. And as me and Jennifer were talking before the show, I don't play well with others. And that's just the way it's always been with me. I'm very successful. Jen's very successful. And I can't speak for Jen, but I don't need anybody to help me run my business. I don't need anybody to help me do anything. You know, I've created this life. So if you're a friend of mine and I talk to you on Facebook, you're one of the special ones, guys. And I don't mean that to be sound like an idiot or a dickhead, but I'm serious. I don't take time to speak to people. I just don't do it. I got so many people during the day contact me. So many people wanting stuff off me. So many people just want me to give me a mention. It's like I can't get involved in all that. So, you know, it's so, I mean, I just love that chronic self-neglect. I'm telling you guys, somebody's really resonating with that right now as we speak. But it's so true. We forget who we are when we're in that relationship. The amount of women that call up and go, well, I just don't know who I am. And the last, I mean, one we're working with now, you know, said that just, I forgot who I am. And every decision was his decision. And, you know, we always get that. I think we got, you know, like 20 people in the last year that's come on and said that they just do what the husband. And I guess that really counts for a lot of people in marriages and relationships. But it's what you get back in return, I find. It's got to be that 50-50 relationship. And most people get into that 90-10 relationship where they're just doing what the husband wants or just doing what the wife wants. And all of a sudden, the relationship breaks up, because it will, after 90-10 split. Then they don't know who they are, and they've got no friends anymore, and they don't have any hobbies because all the hobbies was his. You know, they've never been on vacation because all the vacation's his. And it's just crazy how that chronic self-neglect is just rife. So what do you do about that, Jen? I mean, where'd you go with that? If you can resonate with that as we speak to people that are listening, what advice are we giving that person?
Well, you know, I was just talking to a client yesterday, and, you know, I mean, one of the other things is we don't even know what kind of ice cream we like or our favorite food, because everything is about whatever the other person wants. And so what I just began doing is I spent time going to restaurants alone. This is when, of course, we could go to restaurants, but spent time going to restaurants alone and really, what do I like? And really looking at what are my values? Yeah. What do I value?
Isn't that crazy?
What do I really love? And then, and I just started getting curious about myself. And it's not like one thing, you know, you've got it. There's all sorts of things. Well, do I like riding bikes? Do I like hiking? Do I like, what feels good to me? And here's the thing is, if it's good for me, it's good for everyone. If I'm going to be happy, then everybody else is going to be happy. And that was the one thing that I figured out is if I was taking care of myself, my kids were going to be okay. My husband would be okay if I'm taking care of myself, because then that meant that my energy that I was putting out there to the world was better. I have a little trick. There's a lot of energy vampires out there. And people really want it. And one of the ways that people pull your energy is looking into your eyes. And so one of the things that I do when I don't want my energy sucked, and which is most of the time, I look at somebody right here, right through the third eye, as they call it. And when you look through the third eye, nobody actually knows that you're not looking in the eye, but they can't take you. They can't take your energy. They can't look into your soul. And when I began understanding the energy aspect of it, my life really began changing, and people couldn't suck all the energy from me as well. And I started to feel better. Yeah, definitely.
You know, I was speaking to somebody yesterday, a young girl at the university that I lecture at. And she was talking about she's having a problem with boundaries because her friends, or so-called friends, guilt trip her into doing stuff she doesn't want to do. And we had to go through the whole process, and it was in front of other students as well, which I thought was pretty cool. And we taught her that if they were real friends, they wouldn't guilt trip you, first of all. Stop trying to fit in with everybody else. You know, you be the leader. And the most important thing is yes or no is a full enough answer. Because as alcoholics and addicts, which most of my friends are, who have recovered from the disease, it used to be, are you coming to the ball game tonight? Well, no, but let me tell you why. Because my auntie, uncles, sisters, brothers, auntie's sick, and I've got to stop. No, thank you. That's all we have to say. It's like if somebody taught me a valuable lesson many years ago, and that was kind of self-care and how I can't take compliments. And they used to say, oh, nice shirt you've got. Just something to throw on. Yeah, I've had it years, I'd always put it down. Nice shoes. No, they're just, it's $10 from the local store. And it took me ages and ages when somebody says, hey, Rob, nice shirt, to just say, thank you. It took me ages to say that because I always thought I had to come up with some excuse or I had to devalue what I was wearing or how I looked or the person I was to make sure that I still fitted in that bracket of not feeling good enough, never be blonde enough, tall enough, thin enough, or rich enough. And I seem to be quite comfortable in that bracket there of keeping on my own and just devaluing myself around people. And I think it's really hard. I'm talking to the guys that are listening right now. I think it's really hard to look at your own value and realize. And again, wisdom from my past. Well, I don't know whether I should charge this or Rob, how much are you worth? Oof, wow, what? How much are you worth? Well, I'm worth a lot of money because I'm awesome. Well, why are you playing with it? You are absolutely amazing at what you do. Start feeling your worth. And slowly but surely, I started doing that. And then what happens, guys, as some of you may know, listening and watching, oh, Rob, watch your ego. Deflates me back down again to that. If I just push everyone away, at least I'm safe. I have an answer for those guys today. This isn't fucking ego. This is confidence that's been built up over 30-something years is what it is. Because when you stood in the sunlight of the spirit and you work in a great program, you're being kind to others and doing the right thing, no such thing as ego. You're way past that. I always say my ego went when he took my kids off me.
Yeah, that's true. Well, humility isn't you've got to devalue yourself. Humility is to honor that you still have growth and you still have learning to do. And you've still come a long way from where you were. But the journey never ends.
No.
But you can still honor yourself and your worth with where you're at, with where you've come from and how far, all the work that you have done this far. And I think that is one of the things that is confused with being humble and confidence isn't attached to our worth. We are already inherently worthy people. And when we were born, at that moment that we were born, we were worthy.
Yes, definitely. Because we're born that way, Yeah. And as kids, we make great. We're not fearful of nothing.
No.
We dance in front of people when the relatives come around. We dance at the weddings because I took me ages to do stuff like that. Everyone was watching me. Everyone's looking. No one's looking at you, Rob. No one gives a shit. Everyone's got their own problems.
Yeah, we'd be surprised at how little people actually think of us.
Yeah. And I realized that when I'd buy a pair of shoes, and it'd be like Louis Vuitton shoes that I'd buy, and I walk into a club or pub or bar, whatever it is, and nobody says nice shoes. It's like no one really bothers or cares really what fucking shoes you're wearing. Everyone's friends and love each other, but I thought everybody was watching me when I walked in.
Right.
It was actually nobody was watching me. It was just me watching me and criticizing myself was the worst thing in the world. I looked at a photograph the other day, Jen, and it was me when I was competing in a national bodybuilding competition. And I pulled it out and said to Janet, look at that. And she was like, oh my God, that looks awesome. Must have been good. And I was like, God, that I looked amazing. I looked absolutely ripped and amazing. But at the time, I remember a photographer for the local paper wanted to take a picture of me, but I wouldn't take my top off because I didn't think I was good enough. And looking back now, how far I've come, it's like, oh my goodness, why didn't you want to show that? Why wasn't you confident at that age? I was about 20, 21 at the time, but the rest of my life I've spent trying to value the day and value myself.
Well, they say that we should take pictures of ourselves now so that we can look back and remember, how beautiful we are.
Yeah.
and how handsome we are and where we were at that time, and really relish in that, because the truth is that beauty disappears as we age, but what doesn't disappear is what's inside of our heart and the depth that we have there. And I think that we're at a time in this world where transparency and authenticity is incredibly important, and we have no more time for the bullshit and to pretend, right? And so why not take your shirt off and be, this is who I am? Why not step into that arena, right? Because it is the ones that keep trying, that keep stepping into the arena, are the ones that are really fighting the good fight. That's a true warrior.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, definitely. As most of you know, guys, I had cool sculpting done a few months ago. It started, and even then it hit me again. I went in, they said to me, Rob, there's going to be bruising, there's going to be swelling for at least a month. Well, in a month's time, I went back in and had the second one done. So it adds another month onto it. And I'm saying to Janet, like, this is a waste of time. My trousers don't fit. My shirt doesn't fit. This is supposed to be like, what the hell's going on? And she's kind of remind me, it's going to be a month or so before the swelling goes down, the bruising goes down. And it's like, I went right back to being that person of look at me. Oh my God. Nobody cares, Rob. You know, you're nearly 60. Let it go. Just let it go. It's crazy.
Well, because it's really about what's going on inside of you. You can't take that away, right? That stuff stays with us, and our confidence is not attached to our worth.
Yeah. Somebody told me today that, which I thought was interesting. I think it was your weight doesn't equal your value or something like that. And I thought that was so true. I had so many comments and text over that it kind of made people's day, because we get like that, you know. It's like, I used to watch the scales so carefully. And if I put on a pound, I wouldn't eat the next day. So, and it was actually killing me. And it was Janet that pulled me out of that, you know, even to about a year, maybe 2 years ago, when he's doing a lot of TV. When I went on, I think it was Oprah, I think, I dieted. No, let me rephrase that. I starved myself to death for about a month. So when I went on there, I looked good. And she said to me not long ago, she said, how, instead of dieting for other people or getting your body so other people loves it, why don't you just love your own body? And I was like, oh my God, wow. Okay, then. So I've kind of been trying to do that over the last year or two. And up to now, it's working pretty good. Sometimes it doesn't, but a lot of times it does. But life's a lot better today, you know, and that codependency. Me and Janet are really tight. I mean, we just have that relationship that everyone comes up and goes, God, I wish I had that relationship. But even that relationship can be codependent to a certain degree, because if anything happened to Janet, God forbid, and she wasn't here tomorrow, I couldn't run all this. I don't know how to. I'd really struggle. I mean, first of all, I'd be devastated, obviously. But then I'd really struggle. I don't know where our insurance stuff is to claim for death. I don't know where, you know, the car stuff is. I don't know. I mean, she's got it all neatly filed away. But right now, if you asked me to go and find it, I couldn't find it. Is that codependency? Or is that just a great relationship? I don't know. I don't know. Well,
I mean, you know, I don't know that that's codependency. I think, you know, you could actually, I think you're a very resourceful man, and you would figure it out, right? But I hear what you're saying. And so what are the boundaries that you put for yourself? How do you boundary yourself when it comes to your relationship to your weight? Because it's all about how we relate to something is where the boundaries are going to be and how we're going to act towards that.
Yeah. There's my boundaries in the past were terrible regarding other people. My boundaries regarding Janet are mainly around work, for one, just because it's what I do day and night. And she's a very intelligent woman, and she'll make decisions sometimes that I don't think is correct. Like, she'll say something to a patient that is elegant, and I've just said, tell him to go and fuck off or something, and he's elegant. I said, no, that's what I told you. I didn't tell you to politely. I told you to go and she always knows best. So there's a little bit of boundary there. And the other boundaries that we both have is we do 50-50 of what each one wants to do. We take time away from each other, you know, and there's certain things that I do and there's certain things that she wants to do. Like, for instance, I've been after these Chesterfield sofas for ages. I've always wanted them because it's an English thing. And to be honest with you, they're very expensive, like very expensive. And I could never bring myself to spend that much money on 2 sofas. It's just ridiculous. It was like 10 times any other sofa, and I would never do it. So I wanted it. So we went and bought it, and it'll be delivered in 3 months. Blah. But then she wanted the curtains to match it, of course. So she picked the curtains. Then I'll do this and she'll do that. And we try and balance it out. You know, it's like, what do you want to do tonight? Forget about what do you want to do today? And I don't know. It just seems to work for us. I don't feel as if the boundaries are weak. I just feel as if we work really well together. I couldn't imagine my other 25 wives just joking, by the way, of working together every day. It would drive me crazy, you know, but it seems to work with us. So I don't know.
How do you boundary yourself though with your you know, with food or with you know, your relationship to your weight? Like what is something that you do to support yourself in that way now?
I don't eat after 6 o'clock, or try not to. So I'm really careful what I eat during the day. I know that I have 1 or 2 days off where I just eat anything. I go to the gym. I work out on the bike. I mean, all this is part of my weight control. But when you think for a start that I get freaked out sometimes when I tell people my weight, and then I hear people that look as big as me, and they're like 60 pounds, 70 pounds lighter, looks lighter than me or smaller than me. And it had to be pointed out that my legs alone are about 28 inches round, which is probably about your waist. I don't know what waists are, but it's some people's waists out there. My legs, my thighs, and my calves are the biggest calves I've seen. And people always say that when I strip down. So, oh my God, your legs and your calves. It's like, that's probably 80 pounds right there that nobody else has got. And so I've always struggled with the number because I don't know. It's just the more I get older, the more I realize that number is not good for my heart.
Well, it sounds like I mean, because we all have it. I mean, I can look in the mirror and just pick myself apart, but it sounds like there's some body dysmorphia in that.
Yes and no. I know that Brian Cuban, who's a very good friend, we've done a lot of work together, did a lot of TV together, and he specializes in body dysmorphia. Now, he would wear a pair of trousers like me, or pants, and his shirt would have to be untucked, because if he tucks it in, it'd be too tight and uncomfortable, and he won't be able to, you know, stuff like that. I just never did. But I think there's slight there. I think there's slight with everybody.
Yeah,
like, even back in the day, I wasn't happy the way I looked. It's crazy, and I don't think I'm ever happy. But the more I get older, the more I realize that it is what it is, you know. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
Well, I just think that we all like have this thing where we look in the mirror and we're like, oh, I don't like that about myself, or oh, I don't like that. And today, I mean, it used to be, you know, a lot for me. Today, it's getting better. Each day, it feels like it gets a little bit better. I love myself a little bit different, and I love myself a little bit more each day, and it feels different. But man, and I think aging is such a hard aspect of life, of really coming to terms with our bodies and even our forgetfulness or our eyes. Maybe we can't see as well, but I think that there's a lot of that. And so finding the things that that I really love about myself began my journey into like no longer chronic self-neglect. I no longer chronically self-neglect.
So give me 5 things that you're happy with, or 5 things that you do that you're proud of.
I move my body every day of some way, whether I hike or walk or ride my Peloton, whatever it is, I do something. I love that. I love that I am not incessantly having to, you know, do 100 crunches or ab work every single day to feel good about myself. I really love the woman that I have become. I really feel like all of my trials and tribulations and the struggles, I don't beat myself up about anymore. I really go take a breath and go, gosh, you've come so far. And I love that I've chosen, I'm doing the work that I'm doing today. I'm a Pilates and yoga teacher by trade. I love the work, and I really got burned out. And I love that the meaningful work that I'm doing today. So so those are the things. It's more about the inside of me rather than the outside of me. One of my biggest fears in life is that people will only view me from the outside and they won't see my heart.
Yes. Which a lot of people do, don't they?
Well, I think we all do it.
Yeah.
That they won't see the depth that I have. And so now I feel like those are the things that have helped me come out of this chronic self-neglect, is really because I'm doing good things in the world. I'm so focused on myself, and I find myself way more interesting than I've ever found myself.
Yeah.
Right. What about you? What do you do? 5 things.
Well, first of all, I obviously love the map, who I am today, who I've become over the years. I think I like that. I like the way that we again move most days, whether it's in the pool or whatever it may be. We do that. I like the way I have the ability to help others and find a niche in people that they can't find themselves and other people can't find in them. I like the fact that I can spot an alcoholic off a mile away. That really helps people when I say you got a drink problem. They go, wow, how do you know? It's like, I don't know. I just know that it's my job to do that. And I do it very well. And I like my life today, the life that we've built up in such a small time. I mean, 6 years since I met Janet, and yet our lifestyle, you would think that we were saving all our life for this. And we haven't. I got divorced twice. My first divorce cost me a lot of money. My second divorce cost me millions. So, when we started 5-6 years ago, I was working for a pest control company, driving a van, probably earning about $400 a week. So what we built up is absolutely phenomenal. I reckon the first 10 years in business is kind of paying back anything and paying back the business loans. And we never took a business loan. We have no credit card debt. It's like everything we built up has been really good. So I like the way I can bounce back, which I've done 3 times now. Resilience, yeah. Muscle memory or brain memory is exactly the same. Guys, we're going to go to a quick break. Stay with us. Don't forget, Living Recovery Interventions is where it's at. Hey guys, welcome back. Recovery Channel podcast. This is the world-class wrecking crew in front of you guys. Dr. Rob Kelly, the addiction doctor, and Jennifer Lovely. That was Living Recovery Intervention, guys. If you're just listening and not watching, don't forget 801-573-4188 is Travis's number. Travis has more experience than anyone else I've met in this game, so he's absolutely awesome. He's definitely our go-to, guys, for doing any interventions.
I love that guy.
If you need to look at the website, livingrecoveryinterventions.com. Such a great guy. And I tell you what, such a humble guy. And, he will text me out the blue sometimes just to say, have a great day. I love when people do that. They don't take us for granted and vice versa. And we just love that guy.
I know, he's super rad. He's funny. He's super funny. I love I love talking to him. And I love that what he does, the work in the family system. But I wanted to shift gears. Yesterday, I had this total meltdown about ornaments.
Wow. Okay.
So,
first of all, where was the phone call? Go on, tell me.
I was actually talking to I think I was talking to my son, but I realized so my first marriage, you buy all these ornaments, you have your kids and they have your kids' names on them and you collect them. Okay. So then you get divorced. So my second marriage, we have traveled all over the world. We got ornaments from Prague and Budapest and the UK and all of these places. And it's like, I'm looking at these ornaments. I'm like, why do I have all these ornaments? They take up so much space. So one of the things that I've really worked on is simplifying my life so that I don't I hate stuff. Like I'm not a stuff person. So ornaments, they seem like they're just a waste of space. And anyways, so I just had this like whole thing about ornaments yesterday. Do you like ornaments?
Probably 95% no and 5% yes.
Yeah.
So we're like you. We like to bring something back, but what we started bringing back is a fridge magnet rather than an ornament, because like there's so many. So
yes. Anyways, I just like, and then my kids, now I get to send all the ornaments to my kids because they're like building their life and creating their Christmas. So I am excited about that. But I guess I feel like so much of these holidays can be anticlimactic. Like, how do you make it meaningful? Like, how do you make Christmas and the holidays meaningful? Especially in a time when we're in the middle of a pandemic, people are starving. They don't have food, you know, and we're out there worried about ornaments and what can you buy, you know, whatever. And so I really want meaningful time spent with other people. And that to me means more than hanging bloody ornaments on your tree.
Yeah.
So how do you make your Christmas or your holiday meaningful? Is there any traditions that you do?
Well, obviously we make phone calls home. We don't send cards. We make personal phone calls home and personal phone calls to loved ones. I just think that when I first came here, Christmas was so commercialized over here.
Yes.
And people, I go out with my then wife and go, "What should we buy such and such?" I'll just get them a gift card. Well, you can't give them a gift card. I couldn't believe that people got gift cards for people. That was such a no-no in England. It's like, well, here's a card because I don't give a shit about you, but I'm just going through this, you know, motion because there's no thought about it. I loved one day I got.
I'm so glad I didn't get you a gift card.
No, I've grown to love them now. It's fine. Just when I first came over here, but I got a handmade card of somebody once, and it was absolutely amazing. And then I always get handmade cards at Christmas from my granddaughter, so they're priceless. They are priceless. But I don't know. We used to buy everything. We used to spend a lot of money at Christmas, and this is where now I get annoyed. Is when Christmas comes along, everybody's under so much pressure. And about 80% of the country goes into debt to make sure they buy somebody something. And it's like, that's correct. It's needed. I know, because we're under pressure to do it. But what if everybody tried to, I don't know, get together, Zoom call that day, you know, have a meal on Zooms all together? Would be more interesting to me than any gift. Well, it's difficult for me because I don't need anything. I literally got everything I want. Can't believe I'm saying this, but I have literally everything I want. So it's really hard to buy me something. But I would rather spend an hour like you with somebody, quality time, than receive $1 million off them, let's say. It means that much to me.
Yeah, I know. I really want to like know your heart. I don't want the gift. I want to have a conversation and really know you and know who you are. And so I just like, even Thanksgiving, you know, I love cooking, but then you cook this meal and then it's like, then you're full and then it just, you know, so it's like, what can we do to really create a meaningful holiday? And for me, it's like cozy up and have a nice cup of tea and chat and really love on each other. And I'm not one of these people that I don't care about the makeup you're wearing, the eyelashes you have on or don't have on or the clothes that you're wearing. Like, I want to know what's the inside of you. You know what I mean? That's important to me. And so one of the things, it's like, as I've gotten older, one of the things is how can we really be together? You know, sharing my presence and having somebody else share their presence with me is everything. So, and presence, not presence as a gift, but present. Yeah. So anyway, so I was on this rant yesterday and I was talking to my kids about it and just about how that's so much more meaningful than, you know, running out and buying something. And I think that it's important really be intentional. It's like, when you think about Rob Kelly, like, what do you think about? What would you think that he would, really enjoy?
Mm.
And rather than, let me just go buy something at Target.
Yeah. And I love, for those people who don't know by now, we've been telling you every week, but Jennifer called Janet last month sometime, or whenever it was, and says, what can I get Rob for Christmas? And I think Janet's report thing was, I don't know. He literally has everything that he needs. I mean, you could buy him, a coat or something, but he has 10 coats. So I don't know. And then Jennifer says, what if I come over there for a few days? And that's what's happening on Friday. Jennifer's come over to see us, have some, because we've never met before. For those guys who don't know, we've never met in person, and we've been working together. I don't know how long now, but it's going to be the first time we've ever met. And I've got to admit that would be more
meaningful.
Yeah, and meaningful than to get a $250,000 gift card, believe it or not. It means more to me than that. So yeah, that's it, guys. Get real with people.
Yeah, like really get real with people and really reach out and acknowledge them. Acknowledge who they are for you and your life. And I think that's more meaningful, than anything. One of the things that I love to do with our clients is have the conversation, an essence conversation, is call people and ask them what qualities do you bring to a room?
Wow.
And they're going to tell you, they're just going to randomly tell you what you bring to a room. And to me, that is a bigger gift than a gift card or, a shirt. It's like, what qualities do I bring to your space?
Yeah.
And I think that is really meaningful to know what qualities somebody brings. Because
we're going to do that when we get here, by the way.
Oh, yes.
That'll be awesome. What me and Janet do, we don't do it as often as we like, but we sit down and both enter the table with our little writing pads and stuff, and we write like 5 things that you bring to my world, and 5 things that I think so special about you, and 5 things of why I love you so much, and all the whys and things about that. And I learned this from the Meadows. I don't know whether most of you know, most of you don't, but 5-6 years ago, just after I met Janet, under so much pressure at work, not taking care of myself, thinking more of, oh my God, I can't believe we're earning this much, of just such a small time, that I got diagnosed as PTSD and trauma, and they took me into the Meadows. Now, the Meadows is one of the best places for trauma. It's where Peter Levine was working and owns. For those people who don't know Peter Levine, look him up. He's one of the trauma specialists. So they took me there for 6 weeks. I spent in there, and to get back home after that was just, I felt awkward, first of all, because we was living in Janet. I moved in with Janet. So it's really Janet's place. I couldn't get on the mortgage, although I was paying the mortgage, but I couldn't get it. So to come out of that and then to come home was really weird for me, because I felt I didn't belong. I felt that imposter syndrome again. And I felt really down because I'd let everybody down, but I had no choice. I had a breakdown. They had to take me to hospital first, and I was in hospital for 2 nights, and then we flew over to the Meadows, and we spent, like I said, 6 weeks there. But I got so knowledgeable, and that's where I learned to sit down and tell each other. We used to tell each other, and we started to write it down so we could swap and read it ourselves and take it in. But it was really awkward at first, because he brought Janet in for a couple's weekend, and you get to do that. You get to sit down, look in each other's eyes, and be real with each other. And it's really embarrassing and awkward, first of all. But I'll tell you something, improved our relationship 100%.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It makes all the difference in the world. And when you can eye gaze with somebody and just look in their eyes, somebody that you trust, and you are, allow them to look at you in that way, I think is a really beautiful experience. And I think that's one of the things that I love. We, the couples that we have, to watch them come back together through our coaching program and watch them really create their relationship and be able to look at each other in each other's eyes and really gaze and love each other in a way that is intimate from an emotional place.
Yes. And not sexual intimate, just intimate one-on-one. I got to tell you guys something. So we're working with this couple right now, and I've seen me and Jen do like a couples thing together with the people. We do it on 2 or 3 different people. So I'm not naming anybody here, but we was talking once about, I'm going back to what we said at the beginning about how the woman does everything the guy wants to, and this woman has no worth and blah, blah, blah. And Jennifer asked her a question. And when she finished the question, she looked, I mean, these guys are 18, 19 years old. She looked at her husband for an answer, and Jennifer said, don't look at him. And it was really weird to watch her face turn around and go, because we've just been talking about it. The codependency, they're like, you have to make decisions on your own. And she literally turned, and when Jennifer said that, don't look at him, I want your answer, I just watched her face. And first of all, it was shock. Secondly, she was like, what should I say? What should I say? And then finally, Jen coaxed it out of her, and it was beautiful to watch. I actually cried on that session, guys. I've never cried openly on a session like that because I try and keep professional. But the Recover Me coaching that me and Jennifer do, it's a different level, guys. It's not like, Jennifer Lovely coaching. It's not like Rob Kelly Recovery Group. It's kind of a mix in between where I would normally shout at somebody and tell them to get the shit together. And that's what people like about my program. Jennifer does that more tactful, obviously. She have a wicked heart like me sometimes when I'm talking to the disease. But Recover Me coaching has that place where not only, and listen to this, guys, listen to this, just in case you're wasting money with some other coaching company, we get to not only see the intimate side of the clients, but you get to see our intimate side. Nowhere else during my sessions would I ever break down. But Jennifer asked, and again, Jennifer, she's so good at this, guys. She asked them a question. She asked them a question, and the woman answered, and I just broke down. And I broke down because of the little worth that she had and the realization. And it was sad, but it was also, I was crying 2 things. I was crying because it really upset me because it was sad because the woman thought she had no worth. It's like, Jesus, can you not fucking see what I can see? And secondly, we just opened and broke down boundaries that people have taken years and years to do. Jennifer did it in like 3 minutes. And to watch that stuff, just the tears just flooded out because that's what life's all about. We're going to be asking the questions that nobody else asks. Oh, there, it's going to be okay. No, it's not. If you don't talk about it, if you're not showing where you're going wrong, if you're not showing how much dependency you have on your partner and that if he or she was taken away, you're fucked. If you don't see that, there's always going to be problems. And you're going to keep going to your counselors and your coaches and your psychotherapists, and you're going to do it for the rest of your life. No need. Get it done. Get it absolutely done from day one. Ask the right questions. Get the right people. For me, I'm not being biased or nothing, guys. I've worked with a lot of people over the years, but Recover Me coaching is something that we've come up with that is groundbreaking.
And it really is. But I also, I know we're getting close to the end, and one of the things that I want to leave the audience with, if you're watching out there, or if you ever watch this, is I was working with a client who for 6 years was she was a Muslim. She became Muslim. And she found it to be very profound, but mostly what I found to be profound in it is she wore the Islamic garb, the burqa and everything, and covered herself. And what she said was, it was the only time in her life where she was representing God and not herself to the world. And because what she was representing was who she deeply was inside of herself. And so I want to leave this with you is, what are you representing today to the world? Who are you for the world? What is your actions? What are your thoughts? How are you treating yourself? What are you representing to the world, to your neighbor that you see every day, to who you stand next to, who you talk to? What are you representing? And that really is profound for me. And I took that to heart because we all are representing something as we are walking through this life, and we are all walking each other home. So how are we walking each other home? And that is really what I want as we, leave this session talking today. I really want to leave with that is, what are we representing? And I think that's, so what are you representing, Dr. Rob?
Wow. What am I representing? I'm representing love. I'm representing inspiration, and I'm representing that you can build a life beyond your wildest dreams. Stop listening to, oh, you can't do that. Oh, that's just the way it is. Says who, guys? Who's making these rules up? I don't like them. So I'm representing change. What about you?
I'm representing love. I'm representing that you get to change, that you don't have to stay in pain, that you do not have to stay hurting, that you do not have to stay not believing in yourself, that I'm representing believing in yourself and loving yourself, holding your own hand, walking yourself home. And I'm also representing God, my higher power. And that's love. And that's acceptance, true, deep acceptance. And, you know, I had this conversation with a friend the other night, and I was talking, we just were talking about women. And I said, you know, women oftentimes have a silent rage. They actually underneath, you know, is a silent rage. And we don't actually have to have that. We can actually have rage, experience that rage, and then begin speaking our truth. And so I'm representing that as well. So
I love it. I love it.
Too. I'm sorry that we missed Damon today. It was really lovely conversing with you and having this conversation.
It was. We've got really steady viewers on now, and probably more than we've ever had with any client. I don't want to say that with any guest, should I say, but it was awesome. Guys, thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Thank you for everything. Listen, if you're in the US, okay, if you're in the US, can't ship abroad, it's just too complicated and too expensive. But if you're actually listening in the United States of America and you want a free copy of Daddy, Please Stop Drinking, then all you got to do is message me, and then Jennifer.
The Addiction Diaries.
Yeah. So Jennifer will also put up the Addiction Diaries, put up her book. I will send it to you free of charge. So if you're listening in the USA, give us a text or a message. Or out on our Facebooks, or direct if you want, info@recovermecoaching.com or rob@robkelly.com or Jennifer@theaddictiondiaries.com or Jennifer Lovely Coaching. Yeah. Yep. So you'll find all our details. If you want a copy, guys, give us a shout. Thank you so much for listening. From me, I want to say thanks, guys, and I'll see you next week.
And from me, thank you. And you guys, if there is anything that you need or want or is desiring more of in terms of life after you have been recovered, call us, Recovery Coaching. Reach out to us. We would love to help you. We would love to support you and create something different in your life and to find out what you're representing.
And guys, you know, it's coming up to Christmas, guys. Listen, me and Jennifer are doing this thing this Christmas. You know, if you're struggling because of COVID, if you're really... And again, unfortunately, just in the USA, guys, if you're struggling and you can't buy that child that gift that he's wanted, you just can't buy it, can't afford it, get in touch with us. We'll buy it for you. No problems at all. That's giving love from the heart. You see, we're not a company that does this for money. We do this for love. So if you're in that place, then by all means, get in touch with us. Let's see what we can do. And also, if you're struggling for any kind of food over the Christmas, I will be so annoyed with you if you don't get in touch with us, because we will provide you food for the holiday period. So don't worry, guys, we're here for you, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.